Number 8. The ethics of animals in cages and aquariums. Before talking about sharks in general, it's important to talk about a certain issue that has been coming up recently in the world. Mainly, a lot of people are wondering if keeping animals in zoos or aquariums is truly ethical, because in short, we're taking animals from their natural homes and putting them in unfamiliar or unnatural territory just to be amused by paying customers. Now, someone raised the fact that some of these animals are perfectly fine in their confined space, and arguably live longer because of this. And to an extent, that is true, given the natural order of the world. Certain fish and other creatures would live longer in zoos or aquariums, but the fact remains that the species are being taken out of the wild most of the time and raised in zoos or aquariums for reasons that aren't ethical. Many groups have spoken out about this, especially in regards to certain larger species like whales and sharks that need a lot of room to move and grow. Are there expectations to this belief? Absolutely. There are many species that are put into aquariums and zoos not to be seen as attractions, but in an attempt to breed so that certain species can come back from potential extinction. But these are fewer than you might think, and most attempts at this don't work. Not to mention, despite our beliefs, there are many animals that simply do not work in captivity, and one of those is the great white shark, for a variety of reasons. Number 7. They are protected. So you might be thinking, what are some of the reasons that great white sharks can't be in aquariums? Several exist. First off, believe it or not, great white sharks are protected creatures, which is ironic because they're said to be one of the most dangerous things in the ocean, yet they need protecting. But this is because, though they are feared, they are also hunted, mainly illegally, and thus precautions have been set up to ensure that illegal capture and killing of great whites don't happen. Long story short, there's a lot of red tape that needs to be gone through in order to even think about getting a great white shark in an aquarium, and that's just the beginning of it all. Number 6. The cost is high. Money is absolutely a key factor in the raising of animals in captivity, and for institutions like aquariums, budget is absolutely something you have to think about all the time. You have to balance out what you think will bring in the customers, while also making sure you don't go broke caring for the animals that are under your care. Now, any species of shark is expensive to have, but when it comes to great white sharks, it's a whole other story. Because of the size of a great white shark, you need to ensure that you have a big enough space to contain it. Since these creatures can grow very large, over 20 feet at times, that's very hard to do. And yes, very expensive to do. Then you'll have to worry about cleaning it, making sure the waters don't harm the shark. You'll need to reinforce the glass around the aquarium cage in order to make sure you don't have a breakout. It starts to add up, and eventually you're going to be spending more money getting and caring for the shark than you are making money by the people wanting to see it. There are very few aquariums in the world that would even have the budget to attempt to get a great white into their ranks. SeaWorld is one, and they were able to get one once, but it didn't go as they planned. The point is, despite the obvious allure, there's a lot of things that need to be done to get a great white shark from the ocean into an aquarium tank. Then, once it's in the tank, it's a chore, a pain, and dangerous to try and keep it there for long periods of time. Especially since while aquariums are equipped to handle all sorts of creatures, they can't handle them in regards to basic needs. Number 5. Can't offer them the food they need. I want you to picture a great white shark in the ocean. Go ahead and think about Jaws, if that's all you can picture. Now, what do you think the great white shark eats? The honest answer is whatever they can get, and that makes it so they have quite a large palette of food they can have. For example, they love to eat seals and sea lions, but not for the reasons you might think. It's not that they're easy prey, though they do alert sharks to their presence easily enough, but rather, the fat on the seals and sea lions is really appealing to the sharks. It's not unlike why humans eat cows, deer, and other things. We like their meat, and great white sharks are the same way with their meals. That being said, they also like to eat fish of various kinds, and will even go after sea turtles. It just depends on where the sharks are and what they're able to hunt in immediate. And yes, occasionally a shark will chomp down on a human, but that's very rare indeed. Now, I want you to think about what creatures I mentioned here. What do they all have in common? The answer is, they're alive when the sharks hunt them. How does that matter? Well, think about it. If you have a great white shark in captivity, you have to feed it. But what do you feed it? You can't just throw fish pellets at it. That won't work. Plus, you can't feed it the other animals in the aquarium because there are rules and regulations about doing such things. So what's the answer? Well, many aquariums have tried to feed dead fish to great white sharks, and it just doesn't work out. The sharks won't eat them, or if they do, they'll do it as a last resort. If a shark doesn't eat, it'll die, one way or the other. Number 4, psychology of a hunter. If you're a hunter and you relish the joy of hunting down your own food, you have a natural instinct to try and get your kill with your own 2 hands, or by whatever means you kill prey with. Most sharks are aggressive predators that love the thrill of the kill, but great white sharks take it to a whole new level. They want to take down prey viciously and sometimes very epically, as great white sharks will sometimes rocket out of the water, grab their prey as they do, and then slam them down into the water so that they're stunned and can't escape the great white's bite. Point is, they love to hunt, and they love to eat live food. Aquariums can't offer that, and so when they try and substitute it with things like dead fish, the sharks don't respond. Great white sharks hate previously killed prey. This is a huge factor in why great whites can't be held in a cage. They have a primal instinct to go and hunt food, which they can't do in an aquarium. Some aquariums have even tried to put great whites in filled areas with fish it usually won't eat. Needless to say, it doesn't work out well for the other fish, and thus the shark is put into an isolated cell, which isn't better at all. Sharks are hunters, and they love their hunter lifestyle. Being an aquarium deprives them of that. Number 3, they die in captivity. There are many mysteries when it comes to aquatic life. That much is known, but sometimes things can't be revealed about certain creatures until they're caught and put into captivity. Now, when you go to certain aquariums, you'll likely see sharks, but you won't see a great white shark because they literally cannot live in captivity. For if they're put in a tank of any kind, they will die. Now, when I say they will die, I don't mean they'll die off eventually after a long period of time. It's actually quite the opposite. They'll actually die rather quickly once they're put into a cage-like environment. For example, SeaWorld once had a great white shark at their aquarium, and it got a lot of buzz and hype. People flocked to go and see it, and you can't blame them for being like that. Yet, not 16 days after putting the shark into that cage, it died. It was documented as not eating much food, and it would ram itself against the windows of the cage and try to break itself out, or potentially hurt itself. It's not quite clear. Either way, the result was the same. Number 2, attempts to keep great whites alive in aquariums. There has been some small progress on the keeping them alive front. One baby great white shark was caught and raised in captivity, and it lasted about 6 months. And a full-grown female great white was once kept alive for about 44 days. But the results were still the same. They didn't survive in captivity. One time, an aquarium in Japan got the first ever adult shark in captivity, and it lasted just 3 days. But why? Why is it so hard for them to live in captivity? One of the big reasons is space. If you think about what's in an aquarium, more times than not, you're dealing with small fish or other aquatic creatures. Notice that there are only a few dolphins or a single whale in most outdoor water aquariums. It's because these creatures are so big that they need their own massive space, as they're used to swimming around in massive seas or oceans. Now imagine a great white shark, a fish that can grow over 20 feet long. Try making and then maintaining an area that would contain such a fish. That's not going to be easy. Many have theorized that there's a psychological reason for the deaths as well. Quite simply put, sharks can get very depressed when they're in captivity, such as in an aquarium. But why? Well, sharks are constantly moving. They actually need to do so in order to survive, as moving through water allows air to pass through their gills. As such, great white sharks are in a constant state of motion. And when in the oceans, that's no issue, because they can go in any direction and not be bothered. But in an aquarium, that doesn't apply. In an aquarium, there's a limited number of space for it to travel in. And scientists think that the sharks not only know this when they're in captivity, they hate it. Great white sharks in captivity are known to be recklessly aggressive and will actually ignore food given to them by humans. All of these factors add up, and that's why they die. Number 1. If you want to own an aquarium, don't expect to have a great white in it. To be blunt, great white sharks are a species of creatures that simply cannot be contained by man. They're meant to be free creatures, ones that can roam the oceans and hunt for prey without fear. They're meant to travel the world, not travel in an underwater cage. Yes, other shark species live happily in aquariums, And that's fine, but just as every human is wired differently, the same goes for animals. There's something within the brain of a great white shark that just won't allow it to be captured and contained for amusement or study, and they'd rather die than be there. So they do. There's a lot of research that has gone into the study of great white sharks in captivity, and it all points to the same conclusion. You'll never see one in an aquarium for a long period of time. It just won't happen. Number 8. Stiletto snakes. When it comes to snakes, you know that there are a large variety of them, from ones on land to ones in water to ones that can glide through the air and more. They are just as versatile when it comes to the bites that they have, and that makes them some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. But with the stiletto snakes, it's another level of danger that no one really sees coming. You see, these snakes were found very recently in 2019 when they were discovered under a rock of all things in Guinea and Liberia. In an attempt to pick them up in the usual way, they found out something special. With the stiletto snakes, they have the ability to literally stab you with their venomous fangs, with their mouth closed. It's very much a side-stabbing action, and it's one that has taken many aback by how unique it is. Just as harrowing is that the stiletto snakes are willing to lunge good distances to get to or away from prey, and their venom may not be fatal, but it's able to cause necrosis in certain limbs or appendages if you're stabbed with the fangs. Number 7. Malagasy leaf-nosed snake. In terms of just looks, the Malagasy leaf-nosed snake is a very odd member of the snake family, mainly because of its appendage that is its head and nose, which is very much shaped like a leaf. While it's technically not known why the snake looks this way, its location seems to indicate that this is something that is used in camouflage. Why? Because it is endemic to the nation of Madagascar, and furthermore, it lives in the forest and rainforest of the area. Plus, as the name states, its nose is shaped like a leaf, and when you add that to the coloring of its skin, you'll notice that it is very similar to the color of the branches or tree bark depending on the gender. Thus, it can blend into the area rather well. It uses this blending ability to great effect, as it is a sit-and-wait predator to the extent that it'll go and hang off a tree branch to look like a branch itself, and then go and eat whatever comes near it. Despite its weird look, one should be careful around the Malagasy leaf-nosed snake. It does have venom, and said venom can hurt humans. It's not a deadly poison to humans, but it is known to cause severe pain, though it should be noted that they won't bite unless severely provoked. Number 6. Elephant trunk snake. Upon hearing the name elephant trunk snake, you might get a picture in your head as to what this serpent is like, and many of your guesses would be correct on some level. One of the primary reasons that this snake has its name is because of its looks and its skin. The skin looks wrinkled, rough, and even baggy at points on its body, not unlike how an elephant's skin looks. What's more, the scales on this snake are much different from other in its species. They're much larger and they have a rather knobby feeling to them, which leads to the elephant trunk snake also being known as the warty snake. Elephant trunk snakes have vastly different sizes between the males and the females. The females are larger and can grow to be about 8 feet in length. They are mostly found in areas of Southeast Asia like Thailand, Malaysia, Borneo, Indonesia, Vietnam, and a few other nations. However, what might make this snake particularly strange is that it's a rare breed of snake that is 100% aquatic, meaning the only way it can survive is in the water. If it were to get on the land, it would die, as it doesn't know how to slither around. This is due to the fact that its scales on its belly aren't adapted to the land like they are in other snakes, and it can't move on the land. So despite it being named after a land animal, it's a water snake. Strange indeed. Number 5. Tentacled snake. The tentacled snake is arguably one of the rarest in the snake world, mainly because it's the only member of the genus Interruptan, making it uniquely strange, if you will. This water snake is known for many things, but key among them is the 2 tentacles that it has growing outside of its snout, creating an image that is very different from most snakes in the world today. But what exactly are the tentacles for? Are they for attacking? No, rather they are highly sensitive mechanosensors. Basically, that means that as the tentacled snake goes through the water, its tentacles pick up movements that are all around it, the way it can detect where prey is and move towards it. To that end, the tentacled snake is one of the deadliest snakes in the water, despite only being around 3 feet in length at max sometimes. It preys on fish and has an incredibly fast strike. But when that doesn't work, it does something no other snake in the world is known to do: anticipate and react. What it'll do is it'll lock onto its prey and then angle its head in a certain direction that it expects the fish to bolt. Then it'll do the small wriggle of its body to get the fish to think it's moving towards it. The fish will bolt in the direction the tentacled snake is facing, and thus the snake will lash out and bite it before it can get away. Number 4. Brazilian rainbow boa. In Brazil, there is a snake known as the Brazilian rainbow boa, and not surprisingly, they have a wide range of sizes and colors, just like a rainbow. They can be small, but they can also grow to be 5 to 7 feet in length, depending on the gender. In terms of colors, they can be red, orange, yellow, and even brown. What separates the Brazilian rainbow boa from other snakes, though, is the patterns on its body. It has a variety of circles, crescent shapes, and other distinct patterns that really help it stand out from other snakes in the world. Those shapes on its skin can have different colors and forms depending on the individual snake. In fact, the rainbow boa is a name for a whole sect of snakes, and the Brazilian rainbow boa is just one subspecies of that group. This snake actually has a rather long lifespan of about 10 years. That being said, it's a snake that's very hard to keep in captivity. It needs very dry, very humid places to live, which is why it lives in South America within the Amazon rainforest and other places such as Brazil. Number 3. Horned viper. The notion that snakes look evil is often one blown out of proportion by scared people. However, the horned viper that can be found in North Africa is a bit of a different story, mainly because this is a snake species that quite literally has horns on their head, making it seem like a very evil monster of a snake. And yet, that is the rub, as it were, because most times, horned vipers don't even reach 2 feet in length. Sure, they are rather stout for snakes, but they pale in comparison to the size of many pythons or cobras or various other snakes. Getting back to the horns of the snake, the viper may be named after it, but it's not as common as you might expect, and it has some interesting functions. When present, each horn consists of a single long, spine-like scale that can be found folded back into the indentation in the postocular scale. They fold back in response to direct stimulation, thus streamlining the head and easing passage through burrows. Horns occur more often in individuals from sandy deserts as opposed to stony deserts. Specimens without horns have a prominent brow ridge instead, so despite it being the defining characteristic of the snake, not all of them have it, and that's rather strange. Number 2. Titanoboa. There have been many big snakes on Earth, both past and present, but the biggest of them all was known as the Titanoboa. This massive serpent was one of the apex predators in the ancient world, once the dinosaurs were gone, to be clear. With a length of about 42 feet long and a weight of about 2,500 pounds, it was a snake like no other. But since this was from the ancient world, how did we learn about it? That would be because about 15 years ago in Colombia, a student was visiting a coal mine when he found a fossil of a leaf. After some research, he believed the leaf was from an era known as the Paleocene epoch. This got the attention of many other archaeologists and scientists. They did some excavations to find fossils of creatures that used to live in the earliest versions of the rainforest that are in South America. Among their findings was a vertebrae for the Titanoboa. Needless to say, they were shocked at first, as the Titanoboa shattered all expectations of what a snake could have been in an ancient world. As they continued to search around, they found skull fragments from the Titanoboa. This was a feat to be praised, as snakes are known to have skulls that don't last after they die. The Titanoboa that was discovered can now be found in the Museum of Natural History, and numerous books and papers have been written about the Titanoboa since its discovery, which shouldn't be too surprising. After all, it's the biggest snake ever found. But arguably, the strangest thing of it all is that no snake has gotten that big since. Many of them are but slivers compared to this massive snake. So why was this one allowed to grow so big, and yet all that came after it were so small, or even just half the size of it? The world may never know the answer. Perhaps it's just a mystery of evolution. Number 1. Flying snakes. You might be thinking right now, wait a minute, snakes can fly? Technically, the answer is no, but there are a species of snakes that are good at gliding, and they are so good at it that they seem to fly, and thus, they got their name that way. If you're curious where such snakes reside, that would be in Southeast Asia, the mainland, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, Greater and Lesser Sundras, Molucca, and the Philippines. southernmost China, India, and Sri Lanka. To understand how it flies, you must know that these snakes live in the rainforest and other treed areas of the nations previously listed. What they'll do is that when they want to move from one tree to another, they'll climb to the highest branch and then jump off. Or to be more accurate, they thrust their bodies into the direction they want to go. When they do that, they expand their ribs, compress their stomach, and basically become much more flat. This turns them into a wing shape of sorts, and that allows them to glide. You might not think that this would be a very successful way of gliding from one place to another, given their body type, but you would be wrong. In fact, scientists have noted that the method they use to glide is more efficient than that of the flying squirrel. At most, flying squirrels can go about 60 meters in distance as they glide. Flying snakes can go over 100 meters in distance. What's more, they can wriggle their bodies in the air to maintain stability and even guide where they want to go and land. Number 8. The Devil's Pool. The Devil's Pool may not be what you were expecting, but we assure you that this really is a place you could swim in, and a place you can die in if you're not careful. In Zambia, there is the legendary Victoria Falls, a true wonder of the world that goes on for just over a mile. A byproduct of this is called rock pools, which are formations where water flows off of stones just enough to allow people to swim at certain tides. Usually they're by the sea, but because of how Victoria Falls works, it created ones like the Devil's Pool. What separates the Devil's Pool from others is simple. It's basically an infinity pool located over 300 feet above the ground. An infinity pool, if you don't know, is one where you can go to the edge and look straight down, and you can do that here at Devil's Pool. But what awaits you over the cliff is an extremely steep drop. As such, there are many restrictions at the pool, such as you can only have 24 people maximum in it at one time, and you must have an approved guide to take you to the pool itself. If you're curious, yes, there have been accidents at the pool because of people not being careful. The drop that you would have if you went over the edge can be fatal depending on how you land. However, there is a natural barrier that helps people from going over on accident most times. And people have happily gone to the edge not just to look down it, but take pictures without an issue. The Devil's Pool is open between August and January, depending on the water levels. Number 7. Yulong Wave Pool. The idea of a wave pool is rather simple and elegant. People sit in a long stretch of pool, and a machine goes to work making a somewhat large wave that can lift people up and carry them a few feet for a unique, make you feel like you're actually at the beach experience. There are a bunch of water parks all over the world that have these machines, and people love to ride the waves. But at the Yulong Wave Pool in China in the year 2019, things went very wrong. During a seemingly regular day at the park, the machine that made the waves suddenly malfunctioned and created a massive wave that slammed into the people and was so high in terms of its water content that it not only injured 44 people, but it went over the edges of the pool that usually has no problems confining the water in the waves. After the incident, which was also caught on video by nearby parkgoers, rumors swirled about what was going on there, including numerous rumors about a drunk worker that caused the wave. But Chinese officials denied that and ensured everyone that they were looking into it. Leaders of Longjing Municipal Council and city government are highly concerned about the incident, the statement said. All the related departments of Longjing City have ordered the company to stop the operation of the tsunami pool. After an investigation, it appeared that there was a break in the power of the wave machine that caused the incident. According to the initial stages of the investigation, the incident was caused by a power cut that damaged electronic equipment in the tsunami pool room, which led to the waves in the tsunami pool becoming too big and injuring people, the notice said. Needless to say, that would not have been a pool people wanted to go to for a while, and no doubt many other parks checked their own wave machines to ensure that this incident didn't happen to them as well. Number 6. Y40. There are many kinds of pools in the world, but one that has been getting more and more popular over the years is that of the deep pool, meaning that it's a pool that is much deeper than the standard pools of the world. The deepest one that is known is Y40, aka the Deep Joy, that is located in Italy at the Hotel Milipini. Not for the faint-hearted, the pool reaches a depth of 138 feet, equivalent to the height of a 14-story building, and it's the deepest indoor swimming pool in the world, holding a staggering 4,300 cubic meters of water. You might wonder, what is the appeal of a pool like this? The answer is those who prefer to scuba dive versus swimming. The pool is deep enough to allow these kind of swimmers to test their deep diving abilities without much fear of things going wrong, such as getting hit by animals or bumping into land masses. As for the fear factor, that's in the depths of the pool itself. If you're not skilled enough, you could find yourself in a precarious position. Plus, there are caves and grottos to explore, which could lead you to getting trapped or running out of air if you're not careful. So, as a warning, only go into the depths of this pool if you're skilled enough to handle it. Number 5. Kipu Falls. If you were to hear the name Kipu Falls, which is located in Hawaii, you wouldn't expect it to be a dangerous place, especially when you view the video of it and people happily swimming and enjoying their time amongst the waves. But the problem is that 5 people have died at Kipu Falls, and thus its waters have gotten a not-so-nice nickname, the Pool of Death. But why is it so dangerous? The answer is because of how the pool forms. In short, it's a flowing waterfall that fills up a speck of land that you can swim in, and many people over the years have. However, because of the nature of the water and the rising and lowering tides, it's easy to get caught up in the current, hit something you didn't expect because of the lower water levels, or even be launched into the rocks itself by a sudden upsurge in the water. There are even videos showing swimmers trying to have fun in the waters before everything starts to shift and cause problems for those swimming in it. While only 5 have died at Kipu Falls, many more have been injured, including rope burns, broken ankles, and more. Because of all the dangers of the place and the fact that it is technically private property, the falls has been closed off to the public. Number 4. RMS Queen Mary. There are many tales of ghost ships out in the world, but one former luxury liner turned troop ship, the RMS Queen Mary, has a rather unique tale of to why it's haunted. The ship was originally made as an ocean liner to go across the Atlantic Ocean, and it did so for many years. During its early days, it was a luxury liner that carried all manner of celebrities, and even gave passage to President Eisenhower. But when World War II broke out, the liner became a troop ship and was dubbed the Grey Ghost, an ironic foreshadowing of what was to come. Because during its time as a troop ship, a couple of members of the crew died, including a person being crushed to death because of an engine room door, as well as a soldier who was actually murdered in his own cabin. To that end, the spirits of these members and more are said to roam the ship. This includes the pool of the ship, where it's said that many female spirits are said to roam its waters. Despite the history of the ship, including being the place where Winston Churchill signed the D-Day Declaration, the Queen Mary is now a hotel in California, one that embraces its haunted nature with tours and special Halloween events such as the Dark Harbor. Number 3. San Alfonso del Mar. In Chile, at San Alfonso del Mar, they decided that it wasn't good enough to have a regular pool. They wanted to make a pool so big that you could do more than any other pool before it. So they made a swimming pool that was 20 acres in size. It was almost a mile long end to end. On average, the San Alfonso del Mar is actually 6,000 times bigger than most public swimming pools. That's a lot of swimming space. In 2008, it was dubbed the largest swimming pool in the world. But you might be asking yourself, why did they make it that big? Surely it can't be just for swimming. And you would be right. The San Alfonso del Mar was made as big as it was to service those who would want to go sailing in their waters. That's right, you can actually sail a ship of decent size in the pool. The construction of San Alfonso del Mar literally changed the world in regards to how pools are viewed, and many other mega pools have been built like it since. In total, the pool itself cost $2 billion, and it took 5 years to make. Also, the entire pool is filled with ocean water that was actually purified with a special process so that people could swim in it without getting sick or feeling like they've bathed in salt water. If you're wondering how it's scary, it's for this simple reason. Because of its size and length, there are no lifeguards on duty, which is even more dangerous when you remember that there are also boats in this pool. So essentially, people are risking their lives by going into this massive pool because they may go in, but may not be able to come back if something goes wrong, and probably no one will be around to save them. Number 2. Scandinavian winter swimming. The notion of winter swimming seems pretty weird, but it's a bit more complicated than you think. It's not just swimming in the wintertime, it's swimming in pools that have truly freezing temperatures. People from all over, including many in Scandinavia, go and dip themselves into these freezing pools for a while wearing nothing but a bathing suit, and sometimes nothing at all. Free ballers! It may seem barbaric, but it's been proven that if you do it right, you're actually releasing chemicals in the brain that are related to happiness. Plus, most people go to a hot sauna afterwards, and the combination is said to help the body feel very relaxed. There are even world championships of this event, showing that while scary and cold to the untrained person, it can be quite a bonding event of the body and the soul. Number 1. Marina Bay. The Hotel Marina Bay Sands in the land of Singapore has an infinity pool that could be defined as transcendent. How so? Because their infinity pool isn't just in the hotel or outside in a good spot. It's actually 57 floors up and 340 meters high. This view allows you to see Singapore in a totally unique way, and because of its height and size, it's actually the highest and largest infinity pool in the world. Granted, because of how far up it is, it's not for people who are afraid of heights. But for those daring enough to go in, there's something very special awaiting you in the pool. An amazing view. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these swimming pools that seem pretty dangerous? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye!